Coming up next on KYOU News for You at 10, Governor Kim Reynolds addressing Iowans about vaccine distribution, how soon we could be seeing doses of the one-shot Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Plus, we hear from an Indian Hills nurse who's already been vaccinated, what her side effects were, and why she's encouraging others to get it.
Over the next couple days, we continue our warming trend. We'll let you know when we're going to finally make it above freezing, coming up in just a few.
Plus, President Biden laying out his timeline for when he expects Americans can return to life as normal and the administration's plans to get kids back in the classroom. These stories and more as KYOU News for You at 10 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 10.
Good evening, I'm James Barrickman. Temperatures reaching the 20s today in what felt like a heat wave from my perspective, and it looks like we're finally going to catch a break from some of those extreme winter temperatures. What can we expect for the rest of the week? Let's ask meteorologist Jan Ryard, who has a look at your first alert forecast.
As we head through the day on Thursday, temperatures will start off cool, looking to be kind of around that 0-degree mark as we start off the morning through the afternoon.
President Biden is setting an ambitious timeline for vaccine distribution and predicting when Americans might expect life to return to normal. Vice President Kamala Harris also weighing in on the priority of quickly and safely reopening schools. Alice Barr has details from Washington. Over 11 million counterfeit N95 masks intended to be used by frontline healthcare workers have been seized by Homeland Security. Today's announcement including a raid done in an East Coast warehouse that netted more than 1 million counterfeit masks. Homeland Security began investigating after a tip from 3M.
We are at a vulnerable time, of course, with the pandemic costing so many lives and causing so much harm, and that criminals exploit our vulnerability for a quick buck is something that we will continue to aggressively pursue.
The large-scale operation has conducted multiple search warrants in 5 states coast to coast in the last 2 weeks, and more are expected. Since April 2020, over 1,800 shipments of fraudulent goods have been seized. And tonight, an Indian Hills Community College nurse is sharing her experience after getting the Moderna vaccine and why she decided to get it. KYOU's Eric Monahan spoke with her today. He has her story after receiving both doses. Johnson & Johnson's one-dose vaccine could be in the arms of Iowans by the end of the month. Governor Kim Reynolds today during her press conference touched on this as she anticipates even more doses of the vaccine are on the way.
The White House also announced that it expects the FDA to announce its decision regarding emergency authorization for Johnson & Johnson's one-dose vaccine by the end of this month.
Kim Reynolds also announced the decision not to move forward with Microsoft to develop a centralized online vaccine appointment system. This comes just 10 days after she said Microsoft was chosen and would have the system set up in a few weeks. Reynolds says the state is working on alternatives for a call center and online registration. Reynolds making that announcement as the state eclipses 127,000 people completely vaccinated, with an additional 254,000 receiving at least their first dose. Over 5,300 Iowans have died during the pandemic. In the past 14 days, the state has seen a positivity rate of 7.3%. Reynolds says that number continues to drop. In southeast Iowa, vaccinations are continuing to move slowly forward. Mahaska County officials reporting today that 517 people have been completely vaccinated, while 380 and 333 people have been vaccinated in Appanoose and Jefferson counties. Davis and Van Buren counties have vaccinated just over 200 residents apiece. Now looking at Wapello County, 778 individuals have been completely vaccinated, while another 1,967 have received at least their first dose. The 14-day positivity rate in Wapello County is still above state average at 12.3%. We've lost 105 Wapello County residents due to the pandemic. And staying in shape can be hard, especially when you reach a certain age, and the COVID-19 pandemic certainly hasn't helped people get back in the gym. But KYOU's Jatira Marsh spoke with one Fairfield man who is specializing in Zoom fitness for people in their 60s. His next free session will be this Saturday at 10:30 a.m. And coming up, new information tonight about a man who police say walked into a Marshalltown gas station and shot and killed an employee. Plus,
still going to get cold here overnight tonight, and as you start out the morning tomorrow, temperatures will be right around that 0-degree mark. Through the morning, though, we do warm, and we'll be up into the teens through the later afternoon hours. Let you know what to expect as we head towards the weekend, coming up in just a few.
To us, it may have felt like chaos and madness, but there was method in the madness that day.
Coming up next on KYOU News for You at 9, day 2 of impeachment proceedings from Capitol Hill. Democrats arguing that President Trump purposely incited a mob of his own supporters to attack the Capitol building and stop the certification of the 2020 presidential election. How the Trump team is now responding.
Very cold and still a little bit snowy as well. We'll tell you when you can expect both in your first alert forecast coming up.
Plus, a pipe burst coating a longtime Ottumwa business in a sheet of ice. Who's paying for the cleanup? And during this month of February, we honor an American hero with roots right here in Southeast Iowa. These stories and more as KYOU News for You at 9 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 9.
Good evening, I'm James Barrickman. Temperatures in Southeast Iowa did eclipse double digits today, but still extreme winter temperatures across the area. Do we have a break in these cold temperatures in sight? Let's ask meteorologist Corey Thompson, who has a look at your first alert forecast.
To have some really sharp vision to be able to see a break in these cold temperatures anytime soon, unfortunately.
And it's that cold winter weather that caused this sprinkler pipe to burst in the 2nd Street garage in Ottumwa. It showered the canteen with an estimated 18,000 gallons of water. That estimate comes from owner Scott Pierce, who's working to clean up his restaurant. You can see the entire outside of the restaurant was coated in a thin layer of ice. The owner says water hit the back and got inside of the canteen.
There's going to be a lot of mopping water up off the floor, going through inventory in the back. Some got wet, and we're hoping tomorrow we'll be able to reopen that.
The owner says the city of Ottumwa offered to pay for the damages as well for the cleanup crew removing the water from inside. In day 2 of impeachment proceedings finishing up on Capitol Hill tonight, House impeachment managers laying out their cases, arguing that former President Trump incited that January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol building. But Trump's legal team is confident that the trial will end in an acquittal. Here's Fox News correspondent Lauren Blanchard. Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley voted against the impeachment trial, but with the vote of 56 to 44 saying the trial is constitutional, he says he's prepared to be a juror.
Sit as a juror to decide whether or not Citizen Trump is guilty or not guilty. And I'll be sitting as a juror, and as a juror you don't say what you're going to do, but there's no connection between yesterday's vote and what I may be voting when the subject of guilt or non-guilt comes up.
Iowa Senator Joni Ernst also voted against the impeachment trial. In news today, the Susan G. Komen Greater Iowa is disaffiliating with the Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation. Komen Greater Iowa will be donating at least $525,000 to local entities and programs, including River Hills Community Health right here in Ottumwa. KYOU spoke with KGI's board chair, Becky Brommel, who told us the organization found as many areas in the state to donate as they could. Brommel said it was a difficult decision and is proud of the connections and efforts they made as an organization. And the Mahaska Chamber and Development Group gave a helping hand to the city of Eddyville. Their donation to Cargill Cares of $10,000 will go to supporting the Eddyville Pocket Park, which is to be installed later this year. Mahaska Chamber Director Dean DeGroot says they are excited to see communities like Eddyville continue to grow and thrive. And in celebration of Black History Month, we'd like to share a story about a legendary historical figure from right here in Ottumwa. KYOU's Jatira Marsh tells us the story of one of the Tuskegee Airmen who laid his roots right here in Southeast Iowa. Coming up, Governor Kim Reynolds' first press conference after lifting coronavirus restrictions. What she had to say, but first.
Temperatures today reached a level that we probably won't see again for several days. Your very cold first alert forecast is coming up.
1015 Transit is offering free rides to those who are 65 and older who are planning on getting the vaccine. That's to any of the local locations offering the vaccine. If you're wanting a vaccine but can't get there on your own, you can call 641-683-2024 to request the service. Director of 1015 Transit, Jay Allison, says they'll help anyone get the vaccine if they fall outside of that range.
We don't want to let, a little bit of cash fare maybe be what holds them up. If they need to get there, we want to help them get there.
And a reminder, Hy-Vee Southside Drug and now Walmart Pharmacy are providing the vaccine. It's only available for the first 100 people to sign up, as the supply, again, is very limited. And while this service is currently only in Ottumwa, Allison says he hopes to expand 1015 Transit full service area eventually. And cases of several COVID-19 variants are becoming more common in America and in Iowa, but the vaccine rollout is picking up its pace. But, in Wapello County, we are still in phase 1B of the vaccination process, so first responders and teachers still have priority. To date, 672 Wapello County residents have been completely vaccinated, while 1,274 have received their first dose. The county is reporting a 14-day positivity rate of 12.4%. The death toll stands at 103. And in surrounding counties, Mahaska County has completely vaccinated 717 of its residents, while Jefferson County has vaccinated 693. Appanoose County has vaccinated 611 people, and Davis and Van Buren counties have vaccinated 438 and 234 respective residents. And this morning, Governor Kim Reynolds gave her first press conference since lifting coronavirus restrictions in the state. KYOU Shelby Slaughter has the details on the governor's latest efforts. In Washington, White House Coronavirus Task Force members say they're on track to deliver on President Biden's goal of administering 100 million vaccine doses in his first 100 days in office. This coming as major vaccination sites are going up around the country, capable of giving up to 10,000 shots a day.
As you can see on our vaccination progress report, our 7-day average daily doses administered is now 1.5 million shots per day, up from 1.1 million only 2 weeks ago.
Similar vaccination sites will continue to go up in the coming weeks. None bigger in American history, though, than the site already up and running in Queens, New York. And as the national COVID vaccine rollout appears to finally have its feet on the ground, case counts and hospitalizations are also falling. Fox News correspondent Aisha Husney has details from New York. Coming up, forget financial stability. We're going to reveal the most appetizing quality in a romantic partner. Details next in Fox Means Business. Coming up next on KYOU News for You at 9, history made today in Washington. Joe Biden inaugurated as the 46th president, and Kamala Harris becomes the first woman ever elected as VP, their first moves in office.
We've got one more nice day ahead in terms of temperatures, then we take a change toward the end of the week. Show you what that means in your first alert forecast.
Plus, a look at the City of Ottumwa's 2020 audit and financially what's to come for the city. These stories and more as KYOU News for You at 9 starts right now.
Live from Ottumwa, the news that's important to you. This is KYOU News for You at 9.
Good evening, I'm James Barrickman. Tonight we have a new president of the United States, 78-year-old Joe Biden from Delaware, and the first woman ever to be elected vice president, Kamala Harris, both sworn in on the steps of the U.S. Capitol today. Fox News correspondent Ray Bogan is in Washington with more on today's inauguration and the president's next moves. Iowa representatives from around the area were in Washington today for the inauguration, including District 2 Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks. The Ottumwa native posting this photo to Twitter saying, quote, "At the inauguration of President Biden today, to show respect for the office of the presidency and witness a peaceful transfer of power." Iowa Senator Chuck Grassley was also in attendance. He posted to Instagram saying that he's looking forward to working with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris on behalf of the people of Iowa. And while she didn't attend today's ceremony, Senator Joni Ernst releasing a statement that read in part, As an eternal optimist, I am hopeful we can work together with President Joe Biden and the first female Vice President Kamala Harris in a partisan way to deliver for the American people. She also mentioned that she remains focused on the renewable fuel standard and economic policy. And now former Vice President Mike Pence and his wife Karen returning back to their home state of Indiana today. Pence was greeted by a crowd of his supporters this afternoon in Columbus, Indiana. He led the Trump administration's coronavirus task force and pledged hope that the country was turning the corner to get to the end of the pandemic.
While our hearts will always be with the families that have lost loved ones in this global pandemic over the ordeal of this past year, I will always be proud to have served in an administration that came alongside doctors and nurses and first responders and organized a whole of government response at the federal, state, and local level to meet this moment and to place us at a time where we've arrived at the beginning of the end of this pandemic.
Mike and Karen Pence have plans to officially move back to Indiana later this year. And in his first few hours of office, President Biden taking several executive actions reversing policies of the Trump administration. The president said he's focused on keeping promises to the American people and will tackle the COVID crisis, racial injustice, and climate change. Fox News chief congressional correspondent Mike Emanuel has details from Washington. Vice President Kamala Harris also getting right to work today, swearing in 3 new Democratic senators. The newly inaugurated VP administered a Senate oath to Georgia Senators John Ossoff and Reverend Raphael Warnock, victors of the runoff elections in the Peach State earlier this month. She also presided over the swearing in for Democrat Alex Padilla, the former California Secretary of State, who will fill Harris's California seat. The senator's swearing in brings the Senate party split to 50-50, but with Harris holding the chamber's tie-breaking vote, Democrats will have a narrow majority in the Senate. And now let's switch gears for a minute and get a check of your first alert forecast. You're looking out live now on our Ottumwa City Cam. Here's meteorologist Corey Thompson. Ottumwa's 2020 fiscal year saw its yearly audit showing good financial standing. KYOU's Eric Monahan talked with Ottumwa City Administrator to look at 2020's audit and to see what's to come financially for the city. And if you're interested in taking a look at that audit, head to ottumwa.us/department/finance. You'll find a full link to the document there. And coming up, the Biden administration taking office just as the U.S. tops 400,000 deaths due to the pandemic, how the president is planning to speed up the vaccination process. But first, let's look out live on our Ottumwa City Cam. Meteorologist Corey Thompson has a look at your first alert forecast. Coming up, you're watching KYOU News for You at 9.
You're watching KYOU News for You at 9. And now, first alert weather.
After temperatures today that did get above freezing into a relatively mild range, we'll be sort of in the same range tomorrow.
The U.S. is averaging around 200,000 new infections a day as President Biden's administration introduces new plans to fight the coronavirus. This coming as state and local officials call for more vaccine doses. Fox News correspondent Jonathan Seri has details. Now, as we wait for the COVID vaccine to reach the general public, coronavirus cases in Iowa continue to rise. State data now showing almost 308,000 total cases with a 14-day positivity rate of 11.7%. The state death toll also climbing up to 4,394 deaths. Of that total, just over 4,000 of those victims had a pre-existing condition. And looking at regional case totals, Mahaska County is nearing the 2,000 mark with 1,944 cases. Jefferson and Appanoose counties have 1,211 and 1,106 total cases respectively. Monroe and Davis counties have some of the lower case totals in our area with 813 and 693 total cases. And Wapello County adding 15 additional COVID cases today, bringing our county total to 3,448. In the past 14 days, county health officials are reporting a positivity rate of 15%, much higher than the state average. To date, Wapello County has seen a total of 98 deaths. Well, coming up, a new president in the White House, a new record set on Wall Street. More coming up next in Fox Means Business.
Live from Ottumwa, you're watching News for You at 9 KYOUTV.com.
Positive news on Wall Street after President Biden is sworn in on Capitol Hill. Fox Business correspondent Jackie DeAngelis has that story and more in tonight's Fox Means Business Report. And that's all we have for tonight. Thank you for joining us for KYOU News for You at 9. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Until then, for news and the latest First Alert forecast 24 hours a day, be sure to like our Facebook page and visit our website at KYOUTV.com. Have a great night, stay safe, and we'll see you tomorrow.